Hey, what up? I'm sitting in a GR Corolla at the Washington Auto Show. This shit has some leg room. This is pretty impressive. Not bad for a pretty small hatch. I definitely need to drive one of these. Although there's like zero leg room for whoever would be sitting behind me. Sucks that someone would steal the shift knob if they had it here. It's a nice shifter. Oh my God. Like the action is amazing. There's a push track button. Dang. I'm at the Washington Convention Center for the auto show. And I'm going over to the Ford. Jesus Christ. Okay, Chevrolet. Going over to the Ford thing, but I'm getting distracted by some Corvettes on the way. Gotta check out the new Mustang. Oh my God. Okay, now I've seen the new ZO6 in person, and I'm trying not to think about the fact that I cannot afford one at this stage in my life. Good times. Let's go look at the new Mustang. Seems like the only new one they have is a convertible GT. Looks pretty good though. I see that the wheels are like, they look black, but it's kind of hard to tell if they're like, they almost look like a super dark bronze color, and I wonder if it's because of this light. But I think it looks pretty good in person. They got a new Bronco in green. This shit is sick. Sitting in the Ford Maverick. It's actually smaller than I expected on the inside. I'm in the Bronco Raptor. I think I might be a little too tall for this seat setting. But this thing is pretty cool. I'm sitting in a 2022 or 2023 Mustang and looking at a 2024 Mustang. This thing is pretty comfortable, I have to admit. Oh, the lumbar support is amazing. I need to get a new Mustang. Oh, holy crap. It's like inflating a basketball in your lower back. But like, you know, whatever setting you want. Incredible. We're sitting in a Kona N, and this thing is kind of cool, but it is not big. NGS. Interesting steering wheel, pretty small. I'm in a Elantra N. This shit is lame automatic, but these seats are fucking dope. Look how much leg room there is back there. Also, the manual seat adjustment, that shit's gotta go. Like, it's 2023. No, come on. I did not get a chance to record as much of the my time at the Washington Auto Show as I would have liked. I didn't get to stay very long, but I'm glad I went because I haven't been in like 3 years since. I think the last time I went was the 2020 show. And I had a couple buddies that showed up that kind of distracted me with their wonderful conversation. But just going to talk about a few things related to that before it no longer becomes fresh in my mind. So I was actually walking around, my hair's looking a little crazy. I was walking around near the convention center in DC, and I came across a restaurant called Supra, which I was like, oh, okay. It's a Georgian restaurant, Georgia the country, not the state, for you people who are not good at geography. As I walked to the front of the convention center to go into the show, there was a Supra parked out front, and I was like, this must be part of a theme. Obviously, probably a coincidence, but they had a couple of new Supras right up front when you walk into the display floor. And I sat in one, but none of them were the manual, so I'm not sure. I haven't really checked out the manual Supras in person yet. They did have a Toyota GR Corolla, which is a car that I think is kind of cool, and I was interested to see if I would actually fit into it, because I sat in the previous generation Corolla hatchback a couple years ago, and it was pretty small. But it's kind of the same thing as with the Ford Focus RS, whereas like where I sat in the front, I had the seat all the way back, obviously because I'm pretty tall. And if nobody could sit behind me except for somebody with like, the world's tiniest legs. But it seems cool. The shifter seems really nice. I'd like to test drive one of those, and a few other cars in that sort of class. They had the ZR1, as you probably saw from my short clip. I think the new Corvette is cool. I've not driven one yet, but the Z06, it must have been the ZR1. I think it was the ZR1. Maybe it was the Z06. I'll have to look back. But the new Z06 looks bananas. So I have no idea why Chevy decided that white was the color to display that car in at the auto show. I mean, if I'm not going to talk too much shit about white. I have a white Fox body, but are into white cars. Okay, like I get it. That's fine. But a car like that, if you're going to show off a car with those lines and like all that like badassery, it's got to be a better color. It's got to be like orange or yellow or like green or blue. Even like a red would have been better in my opinion, but whatever. If you follow my Instagram, you probably saw that I put a post about the new Mustang, the S650. They had one at the Ford area of the show, which was kind of disappointing. That was the main reason I wanted to go, is to see the new Mustang in person. And I think it looks better in person than in the pictures. But they also did a poor choice of they have a convertible, which if convertibles are your thing, okay. But I think generally, objectively, coupes are more attractive than convertibles on most cars. And so they had the convertible, and it was like a maroon, like a dark red color, and it was under this like blue lighting, which I feel like if it was a different color, the lighting might have made the car look a little bit better. The car looks good. I think the front end looks cool. Don't like the wheels. And the side profile is probably my least favorite part. The back end, I think it'll take some time to grow on me. A lot of people seem to dislike the front end and the headlights. They say it looks too like Camaro-esque. I think it looks fine. I think it looks better than the current Camaro. The back end is a little funky, but I think it'll get better. So I'm looking forward to seeing a coupe, seeing something hardtop, and in different colors and different wheel combinations and all that. So I'm excited for the new Mustang. Like I think it'll be, once they start coming out with like, the GT performance pack type things and like, Roush and, other special edition type cars, I think people will really kind of like see, what makes the lines on the car. So like the design itself, I think it will shine a little bit more. They also had, on the Ford side of things, they also had a couple of the new Broncos. One of them was this like Bronco Wild Track in this really nice green color, and that thing looks really good in person. And then also they had a Bronco Raptor, which I think is pretty cool. They have, I think those are two of the cars where I couldn't really do much with the seat adjustments, like see how far back they go, or if they can move up and down and do all that stuff, because they just didn't have any power. But that's fine, Sometimes you just don't get to do all the adjustments at the auto show that you would be able to do at like a dealership. They had a Maverick, which is cool. I think I'm not really super into trucks, but the new Maverick I think I think Ford pretty much nailed that. Like, kind of figuring out that there was a market for a small pickup truck, and in different variations, and that has like pretty fuel efficient drivetrain and has you can fit like 4 or 5 people in it and also carry some stuff around. So I haven't driven one yet, but I think they're cool. I got to sit in the new WRX, which I've seen in person before, but not in the orange color, which is sort of controversial. Some people hate it. Some people think it looks good. I think it looks fine. It looks better in person. They also had a Hellcat Charger, which I think Chargers are cool. I think they look cool, like Chargers and Challengers. I think the styling, even though it's like they've been around forever, and the styling hasn't changed that much, I think they're cool looking cars. And I have not driven a Hellcat, but I think it'd be fun too. I'd like to. But sitting in one, it was pretty comfortable. I assume it's like the top of the line trim. And if I was going to get a car to replace one of the Mustangs, like a 4-door, I think a Charger would be a cool car to have, but they just don't make them in a manual. And I feel like I can't have 2 automatics, I think a manual Charger would be pretty cool. And then I think 2 of my favorite things at the show were the Hyundai Kona N and the Elantra N. So I had a buddy who recently bought an Elantra N. He says some really good things about it. The Kona N, I think those are really cool looking, but also another car that I wish they made with a manual. And I wish it had a little bit more like room on the interior. It's pretty small. But the Elantra N has some awesome seats. Like they were like really cool, and the interior seemed really nice. I want to definitely check one of those out. You can get those with a manual. I'd love to drive one. I've heard they're a lot of fun. So those are on my list of cars to test drive soon as a potential more economical daily driver at some point. And then, I'll probably put up some more pictures on Instagram, but it was just like, the one thing that was cool about this show is that it was like, normally they kind of have the same, there's like the Ford, Toyota, Chevy, Dodge, and a few other brands that'll be on the top floor. And then on the lower level, they'll have like the luxury brands, like I think Lexus, Acura. They also had Honda down there. They used to have some of the German brands, but you don't see them as much anymore. But then there's also like a section that has like what appears to be, personally owned vehicles from like, some super rich dude's exotic collection. Like they have like, Ferrari, Enzo, and like some of the old school classic like Testarossa and all that. And you'd see like maybe like an Aston Martin or a Bentley or, some of the more exotic, expensive brands. And it generally was like the same. I went from like 2016 to 2020. I went every year. And it was generally the same group of cars, which like, you know, if you're a car nerd, it's cool to see, you know, like any exotic car that you don't see that often. But it was cool to see different cars this time. Like they had, there must have been like 6 or 7 Lamborghini, like newer Lamborghinis in like different colors. And they had a Bugatti Chiron, which I don't think I've ever seen in person before. Those things are kind of ugly, but they're like, just knowing what it's capable of, you're like, man, my God. And also how expensive it is. And, you know, they had some Bentleys, some Porsche. I'd have to look through my pictures and see what were some of the other cool stuff that they had. But it was fun. It was nice to, you know, get out of the house and like do something car related and hang out with a couple of my buddies. But man, it's like going there and being like, if only I had enough money to afford like 2 of these cars, you know, like, you know, oh my God. Yeah. Anyways, thanks for watching me ramble about the Washington Auto Show. I haven't had any time to do anything in the garage. I haven't even driven either of the Mustangs in like over a week. Unfortunately, I'm spending much more time closer to work these days, so I'm not getting any garage time, but I'm hoping to do some of that soon. We'll see. But yeah, hope everyone is staying healthy and staying safe. Keep an eye out for more vlogs from the Taco Potato Mustang channel. Peace out.